Blessings, everyone. How are you feeling today? How is your heart feeling? Because I know, these times are some of the most powerful and transformative times for many of us, and so many shifts are taking places. So many shifts are taking place within our own being. These expansions, our hearts growing in capacity. It's really exciting, to be alive right now, to be a conscious being on this planet in the middle of these giant shifts, in the middle of these giant transformative energies that are coming to the planet. And I want to spend some time today to talk about something that not only I'm experiencing lately, but I think a lot of people out there are experiencing, which is starting to remember contact that we've had with ETs, with extraterrestrials, and sometimes with other dimensional or otherworldly beings. And it can be a really powerful, really exciting, and also a really difficult and scary thing to have happen, where all these memories and experiences are starting to come back, to rise, to return to our, conscious minds and understanding. And, I'd love to just share about some of my experiences is that, I've been someone who's been contacted. I don't want to use the word abducted, but that I've been worked with throughout my life from different ET or extraterrestrial sources. And it's something that I haven't shared very often, and certainly not very publicly about before. But I feel like the time is really ripe now where we start to share these type of vulnerable experiences, because I feel like it's something that a lot of us have experienced, and many of us either are too scared or shy or not comfortable to be sharing about these experiences, or we don't even fully remember that they've happened. And what seems to be taking place right now is that, the planetary vibration is rising. We could even say our solar system's vibration is rising, maybe even our galaxy's vibration is rising right now. So what seems to be happening is as our planet, Mama Gaia, her frequency starts to rise, also our energy, all of us beautiful individual beings on this planet, we're directly affected by the vibration of our planet. So as the planetary frequency starts to rise, our frequency starts to rise. We're noticing that, spirituality, consciousness, meditation, yoga, all these beautiful conscious, mind, soul, body expanding things are taking place on the planet right now. It's because humanity is going through this beautiful collective shift. It's going through this beautiful collective transformation and vibratory upliftment. And what happens with that is people are getting more and more integrated. People are getting more and more made whole. People are getting more and more refined and amplified. And one of the, you could say, results of our frequency rising is our ability to both become aware of and remember certain higher dimensional things that have taken place. And I know for me, one of the things that happened when I was younger, when I was visited by different extraterrestrials and, taken aboard their crafts or having them do adjustments on me when I was younger, is when it happened, I actually didn't even know that it took place. In many ways, I would wake up and not even really remember what happened, or it just simply felt like a dream, one of those very fleeting dream memories. And it took me a long time to actually start to remember what was taking place. And this happened when I was very young, anywhere from about 13 to 17 to 18. And I didn't start to have recall of these experiences until I was almost 25, 26. And what was happening at that time in my life when I was turning 25 and 26 is that I was really starting to get dedicated to my spiritual path. I was really starting to change my diet, change my habits, change my spiritual practice. I could literally feel I was moving from a lower vibratory space in my life into a higher vibratory space. And again, there's no judgment. It's not saying I was, not as good of a person I am now, just different. My frequency was different. My energy was different. So what I love that happened, as I started going through these shifts when I was, 25, 26, is that my frequency started going higher and higher. My energy started going higher and higher. And what happens when your frequency starts to rise is you start to integrate your being more and more. And you start to have access more and more to your entire energy field. And what was happening as a natural consequence to that is I was starting to have all these memories that happened to me when I was younger start flooding back into my memory, because I was suddenly having the ability to tap into them. I was suddenly having the ability to tap into these experiences that I was going through as a younger person with these, both extraterrestrial and other dimensional beings. And so what's happening now, I think, for a lot of people is whether you're being dedicated to your spiritual practice or not, the frequency of the planet is rising to such a degree right now that all these memories that are basically remaining latent in people's, memory banks are starting to crack open. They're starting to pop open. And for many of us, I'm sure there's a lot of you like me out there, we've had these type of experiences when we were younger. We've had these type of experiences, with extraterrestrials, UFOs, whatever you want to call them, or many times, and actually what I feel like most likely, they are, at least in the majority, is other dimensional or higher dimensional beings. And what I love about the work that was being done by these beings is they were very conscious of understanding that in most cases, we are not actually ready to, you could say, handle the truth of what's going on. So whether they're, actually erasing our memory or simply our conscious mind, our mental mind doesn't have the ability to actually perceive what was going on until we're sufficiently prepared and made ready. It seems like it's happening right now more and more on a very frequent and regular basis where so many people are starting to integrate themselves to a level that all these experiences are coming back to us. And, a lot of people don't have kind of the friendship circles, the networks, the support systems to really understand, to integrate, and to handle these experiences that are suddenly becoming fully available to our memory. So I really felt called to, make this video and start sharing, because I feel like it can help a lot of people who maybe are not in the most positive place right now, or the most grounded, or have as expanded of a capacity to really deal with these type of experiences that are coming back. So, what I love about starting to share about this is my goal is by sharing more and more kind of like what these experiences are and how they can be catalyzed through things like meditation and spiritual practice, is that, you're not alone. You're not a freak, you're not a weirdo, you're not strange. Don't let any of these words that maybe people call you to discredit your authentic experience, because it's not true. It may not be true for them, but it's true for you. And that's what's important, is that we start to have this kind of inner confidence and this inner knowing that these experiences, did take place. And they were going on, even if we don't understand them, but they were going on. And they were going on for something that in many ways we were a conscious co-participant in, but we don't fully remember, what that means and how that took place. So as our frequency rises, and we suddenly have access more and more to these experiences, it's really beautiful to witness how people are kind of coming together, that there's a community of support for people who have had these type of contact experiences and what it means for humanity. And the fact that it's actually more widespread than I think most people realize, is that, so many of us have actually had these type of experiences. We just don't know we have. We don't remember that we've had these experiences, and we're not ready, to remember these experiences. And, when you tune into ideas like that, it can seem kind of far-fetched and not real. But in many ways, this is how knowledge has always been structured. Whether you look back at past times, at different type of mystery school teachings and secret societies, is that in many ways, the things that they taught would not make sense until you were sufficiently made ready to understand them. And that's kind of what's happening right now with contact experiences that people have been having, is that we weren't ready to understand them. And now that we're becoming ready, our frequency is rising, we're starting to have access to these energy spaces. We're starting to be made ready. And that's a really beautiful and encouraging sign that so many of us are starting this process of remembering the contact that we've actually already had. And I remember thinking back when I was a kid, I was so drawn to the idea of energies and aliens and spaceships and all this kind of thing. And it was really funny to think that, I'd spent so much of my childhood kind of obsessed with aliens and all sorts of kind of sci-fi things like that. And in many ways, it's just because I knew on some level what was happening, but I wasn't ready to really understand it. And I feel like so many of us on this planet have had these type of experiences, and we're just starting to become ready to integrate and understand them. And for me, some of my favorite channelings from different extraterrestrial sources, really talk about how, when open contact is going to happen, when open contact is going to take place on the planet, where extraterrestrial civilizations can make themselves known to humanity on this planet. And, what they talk about is they say they can come down any time that humanity is ready. So they're waiting for humanity to be ready. And one of the things they were talking about, like how they know humanity is going to be ready for open contact, is because people will remember in ever increasing numbers the contact that we've already had. So a lot of people out there who are actually really craving contact, I'm ready to talk to aliens, I'm ready to have these experiences, whether you're trying to do it naturally or through shamanic techniques or even psychedelics for people out there. The interesting thing is that a lot of the people who are most excited about the idea of contact have actually already had contact. You've already had contact with the things that you're really excited about. That's probably why you're so excited about it, because there's parts of you that already know this, that already know that this has happened. So when we're talking about, becoming ready for open contact, it's really like we've been contacted for some time now. We've been in contact, and many of us, we're still in contact. And I know how it started coming back to me is through the idea of dreams. And that's usually where a lot of this contact will take place. And you can look at it biologically, saying that, when we sleep, our brain waves do something really special, which then gives us access energetically to different dimensional spaces. You could say, when we're sleeping, our body's producing more DMT. When we're in certain vibratory states, we're more likely to phase shift between dimensions. There's something really special that happens to us when we sleep, and that's the reason why a lot of these contact experiences happen when we're asleep. It's just there's certain levels of biological functioning that mix with energy happening within the body that allows certain bridges of communication and channels to open. So for me, it really started where I was remembering dreams that I had as a young child. And you have those type of dreams that when you wake up from, you're like, I don't think that was just a dream. Like, I don't think that was just, a sleep experience. That felt real. There was a different, texture, quality to that dream. So I started having these memories of dreams, when I was a young child, where I would dream about having visitors. I would dream about going on spaceships. I would dream about having kind of energy attunements and adjustments being done on my body. And these memories of these dreams that I haven't thought of my entire life, suddenly come flooding back into my memory. And it's like, okay, what does this mean? Why are they starting to come back? How come it's starting to really make itself known? And as I would kind of dive into these feelings, because it was the quality of feeling of these dreams that was special, the more I would tap into these frequencies, the more that the memories stopped being just dreamlike and actually started taking on the form of actual memories. And I won't forget that one of the memories, one of these dreams that, I kept kind of cracking into, it was almost like I was doing Inception on myself and like really starting to open up these spaces. I remember very specifically some of the communication that I had, with these beings. And one of the communications that they talked about is that they actually told me at the time, I didn't remember it until recently, but they told me at the time that I wouldn't remember that this was taking place until I was at a level that I could actually handle it emotionally and mentally. And the reason that this is done is actually they informed me that it was my choice. It was a choice that was made by myself on a higher level. Is because think about it. Think about how fragile sometimes our belief system and our mentality is. That could you really handle understanding that you had been contacted by an extraterrestrial civilization? Could you really handle that? Are you ready to handle that? And for me, when I was younger, at least, in my late teens and early 20s, oh no, I can't even imagine what I would have done if I had remembered these experiences when I was that age, before I was mentally ready. Like, it would have actually been very detrimental. It would have made me feel like I was crazy. It wouldn't have been anything good for that to have happened at that point. And so I actually love the fact that there is a genius to this, unveiling, this revealing that's taken place in a lot of us, is that we have to be sufficiently ready to handle these type of experiences that we've already had. And I remember, I was listening to different extraterrestrial channeling tapes, and some of the civilizations, they were talking about how, people were asking them, why don't they just come down? Why don't they make their presence known? How come they don't just land on the planet? And what was interesting is they said, why would they ever want to land in an insane asylum where all the inmates have guns? And I just started laughing because it's so true. Most of us are not ready to handle that, that level of realization in our lives that there is life outside this planet. It's one of the reasons why open contact hasn't fully happened yet, is because we're still slowly attuning ourselves to be able to receive this type of truth. And I remember another channeling that I heard of. Someone asked the alien, they said, okay, I'm ready to meet you. I am 100% ready to meet you. You tell me when and where, and I'll be there. And so the channel, or the extraterrestrial entity that was being channeled through this being, said that they've actually agreed to this on many times. They've agreed to show themselves to certain people who said they were ready, and it ended the exact same way every single time. And what happened is they told the person to be at a certain place at a certain time. The person was there, and the ships started coming down. And as soon as the ships started coming down, each and every one of those person ran for their life in terror. And it's not that they were scared of the ships. It's not that they were scared of aliens. What they couldn't handle was the fact that these extraterrestrials in their ships literally embodied a certain high frequency vibration that when the person came into contact with that amplified vibratory frequency, it rapidly integrated their being. And most humans are in such a disintegrated or compartmentalized state that what happens is it literally integrated their entire being into a sovereign whole, and it's terrifying for most people. All your pains, all your fears, all your traumas, all your worries, all the joys, all the potential expansion, all the good, all the bad, literally was suddenly integrated and brought into conscious awareness. And each of these people ran in terror, not because they were scared of the aliens, it's because they were terrified of themselves. And that's one of the things that's happening now as our frequency rises, is there's less of a gap between where we are individually and as humanity, vibration-wise, and where these extraterrestrial beings are in their energy. And as we start to bridge this gap, as humanity rises, there's going to be less of a shock. There's going to be less of a contrast that will happen when this type of open contact takes place. And this is happening first individually within all of us. And this is the process that I'm going through, and I think a lot of you are going through right now, is that we're going through this process where our frequency is rising, that we're actually becoming ready to handle contact from these extraterrestrial civilizations and extra-dimensional civilizations that are happening. So it's really beautiful to watch this take place, on humanity right now as we're all starting to raise our frequency. And it's not that we even need to get in contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. It's we're already in contact, and we already have been. The goal now is to make it conscious. The goal is to have that be unveiled within our being. And by doing so, when we're actually able to handle the fact that we've already been in contact and these memories can come back without resistance and fear within our own being, not only is our channel of contact opened and widened, it means humanity is then further prepared for open contact to happen. Further prepared for that. So that every single person that starts to embody this type of frequency and this type of connection and these type of memories, it literally allows every other person then to sync up, to come in contact with that energy, and their process is then made easier. It's made more gentle. It's made with more support and more grace. So I want to say thank you to everyone out there right now who's first, taking the time to share their experience. To share, the things that we're starting to remember. To have the courage. Because, when you start to talk about things like aliens and contact, you are instantly received by the majority of the collective as being crazy. And to them, you are crazy. Of course. How could you expect them to just accept what you say? That's so far out. But the point is that you are actually not crazy. You are just saying something that's too revolutionary for their paradigm to ever get behind, to ever receive or absorb. But one day they will. when enough people come together, when enough people get together and start embodying this frequency and this way of being and this way of thinking, the easier it becomes for the collective society to wrap their paradigm around something like life outside this planet. As ridiculously simple as that seems, this is the process that we're going through now, and it takes place in each of you individually, in each of us individually, one step at a time. And it's kind of like the old saying, seek the kingdom first, is that all you have to do is just focus on making yourself as high vibrational, as healthy, as luminous, as grounded, as embodied, as integrated as possible, and everything will then become revealed and open. Not only your previous extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional contacts, but also humanity then will be lifted up that much more, until eventually humanity will arrive at the same level where these extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional beings reside on, and then they can fully come and make contact with us. Because we'll be ready. Or at least we have to come sufficiently close so that, collective society won't have a freak out, if spaceships want to land. Or even if we find microbial, micro life on some other planet. Even maybe in, Titan, or even on our moon or something like that. When humanity's ready, these are when these channels and these experiences will open up for the mass collective. And it's done so individually through all of us. And that's why all of us are starting to get the courage to talk about this stuff. To let it be known that, yeah, you're not alone, you're not crazy. These things are happening, have happened, and continue to happen. It's really exciting, and it's scary. All of it. But we're doing it. We're rocking it. And soon humanity will be so radically different because each of you out there will have done the work to make this new paradigm possible. And part of this new paradigm will be opening up to the idea that there is life outside this planet. Why wouldn't there be? I mean, it seems like such a silly thing to have an empty universe. Of course there's something out there. Of course there is. And they are just as excited to be reunited with us in an open, transparent, beautiful way. So thank you so much for hearing this. I think what I plan on doing is I want to start having kind of a regular dialogue about this kind of stuff and sharing more of my own experiences. But I feel like it's really important to start stepping out, more and more, and having this conversation become mainstream. Having more and more people feel comfortable and confident enough to start sharing their own stories. And I want to hear all of your stories. I want to hear all the experiences you guys have had and know you have an ally in me and you have an ally in each other. And we're here to support and uplift each other as we go through this. So, if you feel comfortable, if you feel safe sharing, leave your experience as a comment in this video. Talk about the things that you've experienced. Talk about what you're going through. And you'll realize that very quickly we have a support, of all of us, of all of our experiences together to show that we're doing it, we're rocking it, and we're making a positive shift, in this life, in this place, in this planet. But first and foremost, we have to make the shifts inside ourselves. It's really exciting. It's really beautiful. And to find the support systems that further this expansion of your own being. So thank you so much for tuning into this, and I'm really excited to share more, and most importantly, I'm really excited to hear more. I really want to hear about your stories. I really want to hear about what you're going through, and share it. Just for the sake of sharing it, but there's someone who needs to hear what you have to share. So don't be shy, just share it. And it's really beautiful to watch what happens the more and more of us start sharing. So I love you guys so much. I wish you all the luck and support when it comes to unveiling more of who you are on the deepest levels. And it's really exciting to see a lot of that has to do with, contact stories from extraterrestrials and also extra-dimensional beings. And I can't wait for all of us to start sharing about that more and more. So I love you guys. Hope you have an amazing day, or evening or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And I'll talk to you guys soon.